You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show podcast powered by The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino at the Pearl River Resort. To get in on the action, visit Golden Moon Casino today.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio. We're back. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
What is that thing?
The Zone.
All right, good morning. Welcome in. We're live from the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. I've got a hungover Blake Scott with me. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. On National Boss Day, I'd like to hear from our listeners what Blake Scott should get me. The text line, agup.com text line, is 601-885-3776. What should Blake Mania get me on National Boss Day? Can't wait to hear. I can't wait to see what it's going to be a little bit later in the day. The show is brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store. That's where you go for any engagement wedding ring. They'll take care of you guys. Don't screw it up. Juniker Jewelry Store. All right, we want to welcome in our friend Dave Bartoo, and who's turned into a handicapper and has had a whale of a year. And Dave Bartoo joins us on the Modelo guest line. We're going to talk a little NFL games. Bartoo, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I can tell you, if you were my boss, I know what I'd be getting you. It would be equivalent. It would be the equivalent of my pay, which is nothing.
Oh, wow. Shots fired from Bartoo. Man, I thought he was heading up our West Coast headquarters.
Oh, man. Just had to get it going early this morning to give you some crap.
I love it. I love it.
But seriously, on the handicapping side, that's kind of what I'm doing, but not. I'm not handicapping the way traditionally it's done, where the sports book, like Timeout Lounge, posts a number, and I try to fight it with my own number. I don't calculate numbers. I'm playing the trend. So what I'm doing is I'm capitalizing on the guys that make the line, then the guys that break the line. And what we're trying to do right before the game starts is take the line. We're trying to take the right line based on what those two groups did before us. So I don't look at any games. It's Team X versus Team Y, and it's all about trends. But year to date, my worst week in college football in the NFL is 24-16, and overall it's 121-66. Actually 122 because we got Memphis Navy under last night.
Hey. Oh, right. Memphis and Navy and the under last night for Dave Bartoo. This is documented. He's 122-66 this year. So you see other people throwing around, numbers and so on, and they're getting smoked or lying to you. And Dave Bartoo is 122-66. All right, give me the NFL game you want to start with, Dave Bartoo.
Let's see here. So we're going to start. I'm going to go in chronological order by kickoff time. Okay. So it should mirror the board that you're looking at there. So first one is Miami and Jacksonville. This opened at 43.5, and it moved up. The last number I'm looking at is 47. So the trend on this is moving up, and this trend has hit 10 of the last 13 in the last 10 years. So it's 10-3 in the last 10 years on this move. So I am over. The bet is over 47 on Miami Jacksonville. I would love to wait for Saturday night or Sunday morning and see if that moves down to over 46. That's really where I'd like to be at.
Okay. You'd like to be at over 46. And Tua is supposed to be back. But Dave just looks...
Yeah, I don't look at that. I have no idea, right? It's just we're just hitting the number. And I even try not to look at the teams because I go, Miami, Jacksonville, God, that sucks. Right? I mean, that sucks, It was like last night. It's like Navy, dude, 122nd on offense, 128th on defense. Why am I doing this? Because that's what the line says. And when you bet the volume that I do now, I don't worry about trying to be 5-0 or 4-1. You know, I'm trying to hit 60% of these and maximize units. So we're gonna go through. You know, we're gonna go through a bunch of games here, and every single one has the exact same meaning. That they are the same way. It is just chasing a number. That's all it is.
Right.
So
we've only got about 4 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start rattling some off. Okay, Houston plus 10.5 if you can get it. It might be at plus 10 right now. Houston, Indianapolis plus 10.5 at the close if you can get it. That's the number you want to be on or better. Green Bay and Chicago. Green Bay -5 on the road at Chicago. I think it may have moved up to -5.5. I don't care. It opened at 4.5 and moved up. That trend is a hot one. You want to be on Green Bay minus the points. Washington. Now, here's where a number is really important. This opened up at plus 5.5 for Washington. It is moved to plus 7. Some books up there have it as 6.5. Do not be on 6.5 at the close. You want to be at 7 or more. If it doesn't close at 7 or more, don't bet it. Okay, so we're number watching here tomorrow for Washington plus 7 or better. The last one that we're watching is going to be on the side is Denver -4. This opened at -2.5. It moved in Denver's direction. I have one book at -4. I have a bunch of them at -3.5. If Denver closes at -4 or better, you're all over Denver on that one on the home cover. And one that's not going to happen, I wish it did, the move to open, Seattle was favored at Pitt. It moved away, and Pittsburgh became the favorite overnight, probably on some sort of Russell Wilson news, but I think it was already should have been baked in there. Problem is now it's at -5. It's too big of a move. If somehow it gets down and closes at -3, -3.5 for Pittsburgh, then you hit that one. So those last three, that Washington plus 7, Denver -4, Pittsburgh -3.5 or lower, those are numbers that we're all watching to see where it hits on Saturday night.
Show Me the Money, powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Dave Bartoo on the Modelo guest line. Man, that was great. Anything else, Dave? Or
yep. Well, let's hit the totals here real quick. Houston and Indianapolis. Here's another number we're watching for. It opened at 43. It moved up to 43.5. It might still be sitting there. Okay, and if it's still sitting there tomorrow night, Sunday morning, you're going to be over 43.5. Houston and Indianapolis. Kansas City, Washington. Looking to double down on this one. Under 54.5. This one is a pretty locked-in number right here. This move, it opened at 54. It moved up to 54.5. This move has won on the under 77% of the time in the last 10 years. Minnesota, Carolina, under 46.5. Opened at 48.5, down to 46. The numbers say people are being smart with this one, under 46.5, Minnesota, Carolina. And lastly, Rams, Giants. Opened at 50, dropped down to 49. Another under. Last week, we were 4 of 5 on overs. This week, the numbers say stick to the under, and we're under 49, Rams, Giants.
Bam. Dave
right.
Bartoo.
I know it's a lot to digest, and if anybody has any questions, if you want to join my Patreon account to learn more, my text line is always open, 971-217-8419. Hit me up with questions.
And you can find that in his Twitter bio, at CFB Matrix, at CFB Matrix. Dave Bartoo, Show Me the Money, powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook, our NFL hit. Thanks, Bartoo. Appreciate it.
Love you, dude. You better be drinking a Bloody Mary right now.
That is going to happen sooner than later. Be good, my man. Out of Bounds, live from the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. They call it the Timeout Lounge. Great place to hang out this weekend and enjoy the games and bet on a few games. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Bank Plus. It's more than a name, it's a promise.
For financial goals, visit samican.org.
You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show podcast, powered by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Try a Tito's Handmade Margarita today.
Oh, man. Interesting. We have 3 Tito's Vodka Bloody Mary games tomorrow. So CBS will have a doubleheader, 11 a.m. and 2:30. And then you get a little bit, well, you could get a lot, of Auburn at Arkansas. And Blake, Florida at LSU. So, let me turn you on again. I turn you off when I'm interviewing somebody.
That's understandable.
And then I have to turn you back on. We haven't done as many remotes because of COVID. And so I don't know if I'm quite,
Well, all the ones you've done, you've usually been by yourself.
That's right. I'm usually like, hey, we need to get work. So you're like, do a remote from your house or from the studio, and we'll be at Pear Orchard. Out of Bounds 105.9 The Zone, powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. So here's what we have, Blake. We have 3:11. You got to get your mind right tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. Really, you have to get your stuff together. And you need to be ready to roll because we have 3 11 a.m. games. CBS, Auburn at Arkansas, ESPN, Florida at LSU, and A&M at Missouri on the SEC Network. And then you roll right into Kentucky at Georgia. But the 2 intriguing ones tomorrow morning are Auburn at Arkansas. Mississippi State still plays both of those teams. Ole Miss will play Auburn. They just beat Arkansas. And Florida at LSU. Ole Miss still has LSU on the schedule. And Florida's an 11.5-point favorite.
It just doesn't happen.
On the road
doesn't happen.
in Baton Rouge. Almost 2 touchdowns.
Who do you have more confidence in? LSU finding a way to get past Florida, or Arkansas getting out and really getting on Auburn?
I have more confidence in Arkansas. I don't think LSU's going to do much. I think they're going to fold.
I agree.
I think they'll eventually quit. I think it could be ugly, and I think Dan Mullen needs to go in there and get a win, or people will really be upset because LSU's reeling, and I think you've got a chance to, once you get up 7 on them, maybe 10, but 7-10, they may quit.
Mm-hmm. Put the hammer on them.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think they're fragile.
I don't know if
at this
Florida
point.
can do that offensively, but
yeah. I think they're fragile at this point. But we haven't talked about that, but this really is a must-win for Dan Mullen, isn't it?
He needs it. Florida's sitting there at 4-2,
and
you can't go 4-3.
And it's not your fault that you played Alabama. It is what it is. But
we have to. Everybody over here has to play them every year.
Yep. So welcome to the real world.
Yeah, no kidding. You play them once every 8 years.
Yeah. It's the loss to Kentucky that has soured you if you're a Florida fan.
And they take a week off next week to get ready for the cocktail party. So they need to win in Baton Rouge.
Correct.
Take a week off and see if they can give themselves a shot against the mighty #1 Georgia Bulldogs.
100% agree. Couldn't agree more.
And how much is Anthony Richardson going to play? I don't know. Emory Jones, has played 99% of the time. Granted, Anthony Richardson got hurt a little bit earlier in the year, and so we'll take a look at that. I think Max Johnson can be a good football player for LSU. He's just there at a time right now where there's a lot of unrest.
And it's unfortunate for Dan because it kind of lined up poorly that he didn't have something in the coffers, so to speak, in a year where he could have exceeded expectations, right? Because everything else is so down.
Well, if he would have had last year's team this year, that defense,
they're running away with the East.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Georgia's better this year, but they would have been, when you have Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, and who's the other little Tony
Kadarius
kid?
Toney.
Yeah,
yep.
And some other guy. I mean, obviously they were very, they were dangerous and fun and scored a ton of points last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I think you're right. They could chirp a little bit down there. if he loses in Baton Rouge to a LSU team that's just, like you said, fragile and discombobulated and lacks leadership and things like that.
Well, and looking at their schedule, I don't know if this is fair or not, but
I think Florida will win.
They're going to.
It could be closer than that 11.5,
yeah.
But I think Florida will win.
I think they will too. What's scary for Florida is that you still have at least one. Like Georgia, you're for sure the underdog in. I assume they're going to win the rest of their games. So if you can get past LSU, it's easy. After the Georgia game, it's easy coasting.
It is.
At South Carolina, Samford at home, at Missouri, and Florida State at home. And Florida State's been terrible. So, to me, I look at it and I go, boy, if you win against LSU and you're just, even if you can't beat Georgia but you're competitive, you can end up with a solid 9-3 season that if it wasn't for a blocked field goal turned into a touchdown could be 10-2.
Sure. No, yeah.
So it's not as – I think Florida fans are in arms right now, but you kind of look at it and you go, look, get past LSU, reset, and your back half stretch is Georgia and no one.
Yeah. Boy, it's a beautiful schedule on the way out.
Brother, are you kidding me? South Carolina, Samford, Missouri, and Florida State?
See, that's something that Mississippi State and Ole Miss never catch.
Ever. Ever.
A run of games like that. And now that Florida State's not any good, what a gift to Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators. Because for 30 years under Bobby Bowden and a couple under Jimbo, that program was rolling.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, man, they were the deal. And now they've lost their way. And I don't, Norvell I think can coach, but he's trying to get it up and running.
Yeah, it's pretty bad there. I mean,
Jimbo really ruined the culture and drove it down, and then Willie Taggart didn't do anybody any favors.
Nope.
And now Mike Norvell, who a lot of people thought would end up at Ole Miss, Norvell is trying to get that thing turned around. It's a good job, really good job, and in a weak conference, but they got to get it going sooner than later.
No, you can't start 0-4.
Or you'll find yourself like Miami, not worth a damn since 2001.
You can't start 0-4 at Florida State. It's just not. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So I know people are a little.
So I expect Florida to win.
Yeah.
I expect Ole Miss to win in a close one. I don't know what to do with Auburn and Arkansas, although I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee won, by the way. I'm talking about that game close in Knoxville.
Do you think the winner has the ball last? Do you think it's a last, like a
very well could
score?
Be like A&M and Bama, and of course Arkansas didn't pull it out, so they had it last.
But they scored. I mean,
they scored.
Yeah, I mean, they were right there.
That's so
it
could be who has the ball last.
I don't trust either defense to get a stop. That's what's crazy. It's like at this point, if you're Kiffin or you're Josh Heupel, head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, you're just praying that a ball bounces off a receiver and lands in a defensive back's hands. You're like, can we get one? Can we get one fumble?
Right.
One interception could change the entire nature of that game.
I know, and I don't know what to do with Auburn and Arkansas.
I think that's going to be a hard fought. I think it's going to be just like Tennessee Ole Miss in that it's close and hard fought, but
low
not
scoring,
near as offensive
or lower score.
Correct.
Yeah,
30s, 20. I mean, I trust Auburn's look, Arkansas's defense showed us nothing.
Yeah,
last week, so it's not like I trust them to slow down.
And I'm going to throw you off because people give me hell. I think Mississippi State's going to cover the 17.5.
Oh,
just by a few.
Oh, that'd be good for Mike Leach, wouldn't it?
I guess so. What would be really good is if you're somewhat healthy coming out of that game. But,
yeah, what's more? Yeah,
because you go to Vanderbilt next weekend and you can get a good win if you're MSU. You can go up there to Nashville. There won't be anybody there. You can let Will throw it around the yard. You can get your offense rolling. So if you play competitive football, lose by 14 to 16 points, but maybe at times during the game it's a little bit closer than that, then you get to go to Nashville and you want to beat Vandy like 42 to 7. The next weekend is what I'm talking about.
100% with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be
interesting. They go from the most talented team in the league to the least talented team in the league in 2 weeks.
Maybe the least talented team in the history of the league.
You may be right, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're live from the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Chris Hopwood will join us at 9:30. The director of the Sportsbook Timeout Lounge at the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by the New York Style Pizza at Sal and Mookie's in Madison and Sal and Mookie's in Jackson, and also the Breakfast Pizza. The Out of Bounds podcast is brought to you by the delicious Philly cheesesteak sandwich and cheeseburgers at Roosevelt's at Live Oaks Golf Club. All right, good morning. Welcome in. This is pretty cool. Somebody's calling the text line right now. So, Blake, maybe you can answer it. I'm going to hang up on him. Not because I'm mad at him, but boom. Now, if you want to call the show, the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line is 601-995-1059. If you would like to text the show, the agup.com text line is 601-885-3776. If you have a question or a comment for Chris Hopwood, the director of the sportsbook here at the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook Timeout Lounge, feel free to hit us up on the text line, 601-885-3776. And you're listening to 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. And the SEC Insider Hit today is brought to you by Dancing Rabbit Golf Club and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. You can bet $50 here and play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $25. Bet $50 here, play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $25. What I want to do is hook up with the 30 golfers that are roaming around here that are partying. Now, Ryan put me on the same floor as they're staying, so I got to listen to them at 3:15 this morning. But there, you know where they are at all times on this property. It's a bunch of dudes that are locked into golf, Coors Light, bourbon, steak from Philip M's, betting here at the sportsbook, and I don't know how much money they're wagering on the golf course, but they're having a large time. They decided that they all needed to talk to each other in this beautiful big hotel last night, and but anyway, there were 22 golf bags outside the valet when I drove up yesterday, and these guys are locked in. They had the wine room last night at Philip M's. Smart call. Very, very good play. And then they played the heck out of some golf. They were here last night, and then they're back out on the golf course, hopefully hungover, after waking me up at 3:15 this morning. And I owe you, Ron. I may slash your tires before I leave. Chris Hopwood, the director of the sportsbook for the Golden Moon Casino and Timeout Lounge, right here on the Modelo guest line. Hopwood, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Do I have to start with your Miami Dolphins, or can I go another route?
You can go any route you want.
Okay. You are a Miami Dolphins fan, right?
I grew up a Dolphins fan. I mean, I lived in South Florida for the first 20 years of my life before I moved to Vegas. But I think we talked about this before. Ever since I've been in this business, you kind of lose your loyalty to teams when I'm trying to make lines, because I don't want to have any biases when I'm actually trading lines. So
you take the emotion out.
Yeah. Right now, it's just what's the best number I can put up. So the line itself, I enjoy watching certain players play.
Yeah.
But besides that, I don't really have a loyalty to any team right now.
Yeah, we've got so many great quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Right.
They're a lot of fun to watch, including my guy, Dak Prescott.
Dak's fun to watch. I mean, I like Jared Goff, and when he moved on and they switched with him and Stafford, it's like, okay, let's see what happens here.
Now, do you root for, at all, the Las Vegas Raiders, since you spent 20 years in Vegas, or no?
If I stayed there, I probably would have rooted for the Raiders, but it's kind of tough to root for the Raiders when they being based out of California and kept moving up and down the coast.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I mean, it's of course the story isn't going on now, but I mean, it was a fun team to watch. I mean, they're exciting. They brought the new stadium. It definitely brought a different atmosphere.
Incredible.
The stadium is beautiful, and it's right there, right off the strip, and it definitely brings a new environment to Vegas to have its own professional team.
I want to go bad. I don't know if you knew this, but the SEC has locked into a bowl game, the Las Vegas Bowl. And, Blake, is it every other year that the SEC is going to go to the Las Vegas Bowl? And they'll play a Pac-12 team, which they have no tie to that until this happened a couple years ago. They're not playing this year. Last year's got canceled because of COVID. Okay. That's a trip that Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans, you want to go like 7-5, 8-4, have a good record, and be able to go to Vegas for a few days and have a large time, right? All right. Okay, cool. So, and I got to go to that state. Blake's going for the first time to Vegas. Did he tell you that last night when we were at dinner?
No, he didn't.
Okay. He's going to Vegas in a couple of weeks for his first time. He's going on a bachelor party.
That should be even more fun.
I know it. I know it. I mean, they're going to have a great. Well, he's so excited because he's going to get to go see all the sports books out there. I've been to. Obviously, you've been to a ton of them.
Right.
I've been to a bunch of them, and they're fun and they're cool, and especially when you got a group of dudes, 8 to 10 of your buddies. It's hard not to have a good time, right?
Yeah, I mean the sports books in Vegas they're big and beautiful. I mean they a lot of the places, especially the newer places like the Circa, just spent I think almost over $10 million on their sports book.
Yeah,
and a lot of the newer ones have been upgraded, or I mean the older ones have been upgraded, and yeah, I mean the environment's great there, especially if you go there during like a big event.
Yeah.
I mean if you're there for like the March Madness or the Super Bowl, or I mean the huge events, it's even more fun. But
I was there for March Madness once and for the Kentucky Derby once.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was always
Wild.
like all the sports books I worked in. It was you had basically 5 major events that they had throughout the year.
Yeah,
and then there were times on Sundays it would cool off because it's like here, like we deal with, it's tourist time in Vegas.
Right.
So on Sundays, people are going home to get back to work on Monday.
Right.
So there wasn't really the huge thing with the NFL. I mean, college sports are still the same. Probably not as chaotic as it is here with the fans that we have in the SEC, but
it's insanity here.
Oh, I mean, that's what I love about being here, especially with the SEC sports. I mean, college sports has always been my fun part of my time. I've always enjoyed watching college sports, and it just makes it more fun to watch all the fans. Just, I mean, they don't care about the pros; they don't care about the rest of the college kids.
Hey, all right. Speaking of that, we're visiting with Chris Hopwood, director of the Sportsbook for the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook Timeout Lounge. We're in here right now. It's an awesome place. 45 TVs. They've got a bar. They offer food at certain times during the week, and it's got a real cool feel. And one thing that Chris Hopwood and the team here have done is they created an app, which was so smart early on, PRR Sports app. So when you get on property, you can bet on the games you want to bet on, and you don't have to stand in line. Now, they've got some kiosks, but still, as Chris says, and I've been here on game day 4 times now, the lines start early, right?
Right. I mean, when we opened at 8 a.m., I mean, the line started at 8 a.m. And then, I mean, when you got the games kicking off at 11 o'clock, I mean, that's 3 hours of a time window to make bets, but
right.
The lines have already started.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've had some customers try to come up on Friday to bet now instead of getting the line Saturday morning. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, the app to me is still the most beneficial thing. Even though it's an on-premise app, it's still the fact that there's more.
But I can be at a blackjack table. I can be in my hotel room.
You got to step away from the table though, but you can still make the bet out there.
Yeah, I can, or whatever. I don't.
You can be at the poker table.
I can be at the poker table.
Any of the hotel rooms,
center bar,
the restaurants.
Yeah, I can be getting out of the shower.
And there's actually more content on the app than you can actually bet at our counters. And some of the stuff, there's actually more stuff on there than what's in the kiosk. It just gives it more advantage. And of course, the quickness of an in-play bet is more beneficial on the app as well, because it's just like you're just sitting there and playing instead of having to search through on the kiosk. And it's in-play bets are almost impossible at the retail counter. I mean, trying to have a human contact and make a bet while the game's going on.
Work.
So the app is definitely the beneficial part of any in-play bet as well.
All right, so the app for our listeners is PRR Sports. PRR Sports app. Visiting with Chris Hopwood. Hops joining us on the Modelo guest line. We had a great time last night at Philip M's. We're having a great time here this morning. Blake Scott was overserved. Other than that, I thought the evening went great. Okay, how much heartache was it in here? All right, is Bama still the most bet team in the sportsbook, or is it Mississippi? Is it Bama?
Bama's definitely the most bet sports team. But, I mean, this year, leading up to it, I mean, we had a lot of people coming in betting Ole Miss and Mississippi State, like I told you last night, that even to win the national championship or win the SEC championship. So we had – there was definitely some excitement with our 2 local teams.
Okay. All right, how much heartache – were you in here when they lost, or had you gone home last weekend?
When Alabama lost?
Yeah.
I had just left.
Okay. I bet there was some was it Were there a bunch of Bama fans here?
Oh, the place was full of Bama fans. And of course, we had a few scattered people in here that were rooting against Alabama like they always do.
Really?
Yeah, you always have a couple that want to just, I guess, upset the rest of the audience.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so Bama's the most bet team regardless college or NFL?
Yes.
All right. Who's number 2?
If you're talking about college?
College.
Right now, it's probably been Mississippi State.
Okay.
I mean, Ole Miss is up there. I mean, most of the SEC schools are where all our money is every single week. I mean, all those games basically have more money than what we have on an NFL game, unless it's like a big NFL matchup.
Saints. All right, NFL. Cowboys, Saints, Chiefs. All right, who's the most this year? Who's the most bet team?
Well, the Cowboys are definitely the most bet this team. I mean, besides the Dak followers they're rooting for the Cowboys because Dak's there, but the Cowboys and the Saints were kind of almost equal last year until Dak got hurt, and then now it's by far. I mean, the Saints are kind of rebuilding, so
right.
So the Cowboys are definitely by far the best team, and of course you still have the Tampa followers because of Brady's there and what's going on in Tampa.
Right, that's incredible. I love though that the Cowboys are the most bet team.
Well, I mean the Cowboys are. I mean. America's team, but
right.
Yeah, I mean they're popular wherever I've been, even in Vegas. But now, I mean here, I mean Dak brings a different environment to the team.
Right. Chris Hopwood, director of the sportsbook, Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Hey, what is the percentage breakdown, give or take, of college football to NFL?
Well, it's basically equal. I mean, the money that's bet on college football is equal to what we take in the NFL. Whereas, okay. I mean, we talked about this in the past. I mean, the NFL, when I was in Vegas, was probably like 65-35 going in towards the pros. But now here, it's a 50-50 split.
That's
I mean, there's
cool.
times we've talked about where the national championship game in college football, especially if it includes an SEC team, we have just as much on that as we have on the Super Bowl.
Okay. That's incredible.
It is big.
I know that your colleagues probably go, really?
Yeah,
I mean, it blows their mind.
Having 2 Super Bowls for us.
Right, yeah. All right, I wanted to ask you this. Against the spread, over, under, money line, what are you see? I know, obviously, you get a ton of bets against the spread. But are you finding that more people are betting on over-unders and the money line? I mean, how does it look at the book?
Well, out of those 3, the over-unders is definitely the least amount.
Okay.
I mean, when I was in Vegas, the point spread was where most of the action was taken on, and the money line was probably somewhere in the middle. But the trends that I've basically been seeing is we have more customers kind of betting the money line for the teams just to win the game than taking the points. I mean, especially when you have the smaller spreads, when it's less than 4 points, then I mean, you almost have an advantage taking the money line because, I mean, there's very rarely, except on when the number's around 3, that's actually involved in a football number. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot of customers doing that. And, of course, you have when you have big point spread favorites and they're willing to lay the minus 600 to win their game. I mean, bet the $600 to win $100 from the casino.
Like Georgia this weekend.
Right.
They're a huge favorite.
Right.
That's what you're kind of talking about, right?
Well, right. So they're a 21.5 point favorite right now for us. We actually, at some point, do actually cut the money lines off once it goes over 17 points because at that point the money line is so big that a customer is really not going to bet $3,000 to win $100 from the casino.
Right.
I mean, and even if they add it to their parlay, it's not going to add any significance to the parlay except for a couple dollars. So at some point, we just cut it off and just let people bet the point spread one way or the other.
Right.
But you'll have like you said, when it's 17 points. And
so that means you took Bama and Mississippi State off the money line at 17.5.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably put that one back up on
game day. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, that one's down right now.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it would have been better last week if we had Alabama up.
Oh my gosh, man! Wild. Okay, you mentioned parlays. Do you see? How many years have you been here? 3?
3 years now we've been open.
Okay. With parlays, Chris Hopwood, Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook on the Out of Bounds Show and the Modelo guest line. Are you seeing more parlays, the same amount of parlays from when y'all opened? Talk to me about that kind of trend or pattern in the betting world.
Well, for us, it was always a high percentage. I mean, we opened up when we first opened up in 2018. It was probably around 80% of the bets were parlays.
Okay.
It's still kind of in that same neighborhood.
Wow.
So
80% of your bets are parlays?
Yeah, so it's it's definitely higher than when I was in Las Vegas. But it's like a recreational thing. The customers like to, almost like the slot machine. You put multiple teams together, you make a lottery ticket, and hit something big. So instead of betting $110 to win $100 from us, you bet $100 and you can win $17,000 from us.
Well, what's the biggest one you've lost?
2 weeks ago we had one hit for $40,000.
Really?
Yeah, we had a guy hit an 8-teamer. They paid bet $200 on that paid over $40,000.
He hit an 8-team parlay.
8 teams, yes.
And he bet how much?
$200.
And he won
$40,000.
Good grief! And 80% of your bets are parlays. Do you think that the trend will go? You mentioned that over/under is the least bet out of the 3 that I threw out to you. ATS against the spread,
right.
Money line, and over/under. Do you expect that trend to change in the future?
I mean, it could, but it's. The people probably know more. They're probably rooting more for who's going to win the game.
Gotcha.
It's. Betting how many points are going to be scored. I mean, if you switch into like the NBA, the totals, the over/unders are so high as it is right now.
Right.
It's like you're betting on, is a team going to score 240 points or more?
Right.
I mean, college football and the NFL, some of the scoring happening there too. I mean, the numbers.
All right, like take the Ole Miss game right now. I don't know what you have it as, but we've been monitoring it all week at around 82.
Right, I think we're at 82.5.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, I mean, mathematically, I'm looking at it, and it's kind of like it falls probably between 82 and 84 points, so it's kind of right where it should be. And so it's like if you have customers that are looking into it and doing what we do, then they're like, okay, the number might be high, but it's kind of where it should be with the scoring of those two teams. But if you have just a regular recreational bettor, they might be, it's too high, or they might just be like it's going to be an arcade game and just bet it over, just hoping they score 100 points.
Yeah. This year, all right, year to date during football season, what's the biggest, cheers from the crowd in here on a game one? Can you remember?
Well, I mean, anytime Alabama's playing, it's always it goes crazy,
okay.
and of course on top of that,
Bama Ole Miss, I bet was a big weekend for you.
Right. I mean, that was actually probably the most fun we've had because you had half the audience here. I mean, which was Ole Miss fans. So so going back and forth with that, and at least it was a good game for a little while.
Yeah.
And then so I mean, last week, every time. When Alabama took the lead for the one time, the place was going nuts and thought it was going to be a turn in the momentum until A&M ended up winning the game. But
unreal. All right, 80% of your bets are parlays.
Yeah, it's definitely fun because it's a different way of having to do your risk management for us. Because I know in Vegas, you basically move your lines off of straight bets and the big straight bets,
right.
And we still do that here. I mean, when we have our large bets, when we take the bets between $8,000 and $10,000 on NFL game or a college football game.
Have you taken a bet this week over $5,000?
Yeah, we've had a couple bets that are between $8,000 and $10,000. I mean, the other night on a hockey game, we took
on a hockey game.
A few hockey games, we were taking $5,000 bets on the on who was going to win the game when Toronto was playing.
When who?
When Toronto was playing the other night.
Okay. Are you a hockey fan?
I'm not really a hockey fan. My brother was a hockey fan when I was growing up because he played that sport and I played all the other ones.
I got you. So you took that big of a bet on a hockey game?
Yeah, we actually took
in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
We took there was 3 bets between $3,000 and $5,000 that we took. So yeah,
got it. All right, and what? So this weekend, Alabama and Mississippi State is heavily bet right now.
Oh yeah, that was everyone was.
And will be tomorrow because it's a 6:00 kick. That gives people several hours to come through the book and do what they want to do, right?
Right, and the funny thing is, there's times in the week we'll get phone calls, like even last week, because people know that sometimes our lines are a little off on the Alabama, especially because of the fan bases that we have. And I had a couple customers say, "Well, how come your line's not off the rest of the industry right now on that?" And I'm like, "We were until people bet Mississippi State."
Right.
Because right now when you have, especially the local fan base that loves their teams, I mean, it's not, you can't really be off on the line. I mean, sometimes we might be lower if they end up pushing it. I mean, we had I think last year, or no, actually the Ole Miss game, I'm sorry. We actually were lower than the rest of the industry because we had a lot of people who were betting against Alabama. They're rooting on Ole Miss.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's times where, even though I'm like, we're really high on Alabama. We were, I think, 3 points high on the A&M game than the rest of the world. because it was like 80. Like I was telling you last night at dinner, 80% of the money was on Alabama. So it was like, there's
80% of the money was on Bama.
So there was no way we could be at 17 like the rest of the world was. We were at 20. I think if we got highest, we were 21 at one point in time before we got a couple of A&M bets to bring it down a little.
Okay. And what is outside of Bama, Mississippi State this week? Do you know what your most bet college football game is to date? I know you still got a long time for tomorrow and still.
I mean, it's still coming in, but I mean, a lot of people are back in Georgia. I mean, Georgia's been so dominating right now.
Okay.
I mean, their offense hasn't really been scoring with the backup quarterback, but that defense is great, and then the running game's been good. But this week, since it looks like the starter will be back, it looks like they're going to start rolling on that team. Like you said, the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss still, even though they had the loss with Alabama, they're still getting the backing with the fan base.
They're exciting, because they throw up so many points, and we just talked about that at 82.5. There's no telling. There's no telling how many points will be scored in that game tomorrow night, Ole Miss and Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean,
myself,
I like a little bit of defense, but but the Ole Miss is definitely fun to watch, scoring all the points that they score. And so, but then of course you don't know who's going to have the ball last, who's going to win the game. But Ole Miss, they're definitely fun to watch, and I mean, like we have two great coaches at both the schools.
Sure,
and they're both fun to watch. They're both offensive geniuses.
Yes.
And so
very, very talented guys.
So it makes it fun to have that in this state.
Yeah.
To go along with the fan base with Alabama that we already have here at the Sportsbook.
Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We are live from the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. And right now, for a while, you can bet and play. All right, so they got a bet and play special. Bet $50 here at the Sportsbook and play a $25 round of golf at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Also, they had a guest this week win $1.1 million at the Wheel of Fortune. Did you know that?
I did not know. I knew something big was hit, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah, $1.16 million for one of the guests here at Pearl River Resort. We've told you about the super cool app that they have. It is the PRR Sports app. As Chris Hopwood walked us through, it gives you an opportunity. Well, first of all, you avoid lines. Once you get on property, you can bet. You can be in your hotel room, walking around, whatever, going to get a beer or something. And so it's and as Chris has said, they have more information and more options on the app than up at the counter or whatever, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, the app to me, we know statewide. I mean, people like statewide mobile betting in other states, and right now it's not here in Mississippi. But the app still is, to me. I just like it. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't be standing in line anywhere. I would just sit there and make my bets and stand and watch everyone stay in line, and find your seat to watch the games.
Love it, Hopwood. Thank you, buddy.
All right,
y'all are doing a great job. We had a great time here today, thanks to Ryan. I guess Blake did something, and it was a good show here on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. That's the Timeout Lounge. And award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Don't forget, you can bet $50 here and play golf for $25 at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club here, Pearl River Resort. And download the app. Takes about 5 to 10 seconds. PRR Sports app. Download the app. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the ball over the weekend. We'll be back on Monday at 7 a.m. right here on 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Have a good weekend.